do one of them placards.
Hello, my name is Lance Traves, and I'm with the Energy Ohio Network. And I'm here today with Chuck Keiper, the Executive Director of the Northeast Ohio Public Utility Council, or NOPEC for short. And I understand that NOPEC was established in 2000, is a nonprofit organization that is actually the nation's largest energy aggregator and happens to be located in Northeast Ohio with a lot of member communities. And I was hoping, Chuck, that you could give us a brief overview of NOPEC as an energy aggregator and tell us more about what you guys do.
Happy to do that. Thank you, Lance. We are the Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council, NOPEC. We are about 140 plus member governmental aggregation group. We are technically a council of governments, and we essentially use mass purchasing techniques to negotiate on behalf of all of our communities and their residences and small businesses the best deal for natural gas and electricity that we can get.
What other work does NOPEC engage in for the member communities and customers as far as educating state government officials, working on legislative efforts, things like that?
We have a number of initiatives, Lance, that we are undertaking. We have long felt that we were an important voice for consumers, particularly our consumers, but as consumer advocacy groups in Ohio have been limited by budget, et cetera, we found that an increasingly bigger and bigger role for us. So we do an awful lot of legislative work. We do an awful lot of consumer empowerment. We are now beginning to do work in energy demand reduction and energy efficiency. We've always been supply side. Those are new demand side kind of notions, and we're hoping that we can help our customers take a larger control about how, when, where, and why they invest their energy dollars.
Thank you. Do you want me to just continue? Okay. Chuck, the Energy Ohio Network would like to hear a little more about NOPEC's and yourself's expert perspective on Ohio energy issues, including some of the topics maybe you even just mentioned. But first off, what Ohio energy opportunities does NOPEC see on the horizon as important to continuing meeting your goals for your customers?
Oh gosh, that's a very good question. I think that it's going to be very interesting to see how shale gas plays in Ohio impact natural gas and electricity pricing. We're watching that very carefully. I think that it's also very important to know that it looks like for the foreseeable future that capacity charges in Ohio are likely to go up. That is related to a number of things, including the removal from active duty of a number of now retired coal plants or scheduled to be retired coal plants. We think that that's can have a significant impact on our customers and what they pay. And then more kind of in line with not taking resources off is how and when and why and what time of day we can convince our customers to better use their resources. We know, for example, that at peak times it costs a lot more money to cool your house or to run a lathe in your business. And if we can help our customers recognize that doing that at non-peak times will save them significant dollars, we think that's an important role for us to play.
Thank you.
How we doing?
I think we're doing good. Let me do the demand side thing since you mentioned it. Now, Chuck, you mentioned demand side management, which is integral with kind of energy efficiency and reducing some of the use of electricity during peak times. And this year, NOPEC actually identified demand side management stop that. Okay.
Right.
Count to three first and then start.
Yep. Okay. Chuck, you mentioned demand side management of electricity, and I'd like to talk about that a little bit more. basically the concept would be reducing demand on the part of consumer, especially during those peak hours when they might be subject to the highest charges. Can you tell us a little bit more about the opportunity that NOPEC sees with demand side management and the challenges that you've had in trying to work through that program?
I think from the perspective of my board of directors, Lance, this issue is about sustainability. It is about behavioral modification. So when my board took a look at demand side issues over the last couple of years and decided whether or not NOPEC should be actively engaged in that, they decided that it was important to help people understand that their behavior was as important a factor in what they paid as a coal generating plant going on or offline. One of the many legs of the stool, if you will, that have an impact on what they pay. So they determined that it was important to help homeowners and small business owners and governments understand how they could positively change that and shift that gear. And as a result, NOPEC through 2012 has gone to the market in terms of requests for proposals for folks to help us get into that business, to identify how best to consume or to engage consumers, how best to engage our small business customers, and what messages we ought to be bringing them and what tools we ought to be putting in their toolbox to help them do that. I don't know the answers to those questions yet. We are really right at the edge of the pier, about to step in. So if you ask me this question in a year, I think I might have a more complete answer, but we're excited that this is a new value added that NOPEC can bring to its customers. We think that there's no other aggregators currently out there doing it. We don't see a lot of our competition who sends our customers mailers all the time telling folks how to reduce their load. They're in the business of selling electricity. We're in the business of making sure that there's a value that our customers can reach that makes sense to them and to their purposes and to their pocketbooks.
In the news these days, there's a term called distributed generation that is increasingly out there, and lots of the people in the public may kind of hear that and know that that's maybe some type of local energy production through solar or wind or other means. I guess what's NOPEC's perspective on distributed electricity generation? Is any of your member communities looking at that for their localities?
I think there's a general discussion that says as resources that currently have been traditionally used to generate electricity are going away or getting more expensive, that we should be looking in our own backyards about how to better fill what is becoming a void in the grid and an increasingly more expensive component of your electric bill. So I can't say that I know of any of our communities that are saying, yes, let's do that, but we are, as a council of governments, beginning to say, what role should NOPEC as an aggregator have in this distributive energy field? What role should we have in financing it or creating an atmosphere where there's trials? And I think what is beginning to emerge at our board level is that there is an opportunity for NOPEC to work with our provider network to do a number of trials of these kinds of devices, whether it's wind, solar, gas-powered peaking plants that are neighborhood-based or whatever else, to work out some important issues, not only about the actual production itself, but what do you do with the excess, when do you run the plants, what kind of signals does the grid need when they come in and out, and those kind of important issues. We think that we have 140 plus to 170 plus kind of community choices for rural, urban, agricultural kinds of communities where these things can be tried, and we hope to be able to be a part of an important petri dish for those projects.
Thank you. Can we see some video, see how it went?
Is there anything more you guys would like to talk about here? Questions from the peanut gallery? the director of the Energy Policy Center must have some burning questions on his mind.
I think he got all the questions that are on that list. I think he hit them all, combined a couple of them, but.
Do you know, when you walked out of the room, I mentioned your thing with EON Consumers Council. Is that off the record now? You can't really talk about that because it's still in play?
Yeah,
Litigation?
I'm still in litigation
That's not a
there.
topic then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I have to say, I'm sorry, I'm in litigation. But-
Well, I think it'll be very helpful for Chuck, and I would also appreciate it, actually having, the immediate feedback. Is there a way to actually just kind of like look at a couple of them right now, and then I know that we need to.
I know that I'll hate seeing it, so you can see it. Do with it what you will.